Yes. Okay, super. So we're live. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Agentic Hours number 3. So awesome to see everyone back on this every Friday. So thanks for spending your time with us. Really awesome. So gonna have a quick rundown of what AICamp is, and then hop into things. So what Agentic Hours is hosted on AICamp, and what we want to do every month is to have a virtual meetup where we talk all about agents. Yeah, agents. So kind of explore what's happening in the space and really get to know who's doing what in the space. Yeah. So this is hosted by AICamp London, and who are we? We are a global community that's in like 50 different countries. So we run meetups like all the time. If you want to see what's happening in your local regional place, just go to AICamp.ai, look for some events there. Um, so we're always looking for people to host communities, have things they want to share. Please submit topics, sponsor food or venues for the local in-person events. So if you have any sort of ideas, do reach out to us at this email. And once again, much thanks to the AICamp London team for hosting this. So we have here Subash, who is dialing in all the way from Singapore. And hats off to him. It's like way early in the morning, so I really appreciate that. Your superb dedication, man.
No worries.
And Kevin's also part of the London team, so he's on the chats today, and he's dialing in
Yes.
from India. So, yeah, so send him some love in the chat, guys.
Nice meeting
Okay,
you all. Yeah.
awesome. So yeah, if you have any like issues or questions, do reach out to us on the Discord server as well. And we have this Stack and Discord community where you're free to post any sort of news. You're looking for opportunities, just feel free to use the community. All right. So this is our agenda for today. I've just covered the first one. Subash is kindly going to share a bit about MCP agents, which is a really huge topic of late. Gonna do a quick rundown of Manus.AI. Hopefully it works. And then we do a community bit where we open the mic for everyone to share what you've learned or what you're building or any issues, and our very nice nuggets to close the session. Choosing safe. You got an invite code, yeah, but we're gonna share it and experience it together live today. So it'll be fun. Okay. Oh, so I'm gonna leave it to Subash now.
All right. I'm taking the control.
Yeah. For it.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. Thanks, David, for the nice introduction and covering up everything nicely. Thanks for all the participants joining today. And it's been always motivating that to wakes me to do this because I was not sleeping. I'm doing some other project and I thought of continuing this for the session. And I want to start with MCP. That's what David was covering, that what I'll be doing. I want to ask a question before getting started. Like, how many of you hear this term MCP, Model Contest Protocol, or came across when you're doom scrolling LinkedIn or Twitter or X? So, uh, how many of you just give a thumbs up? Like, how many of you came across this or maybe aware of this? Okay, everybody who use LinkedIn now, they should get it because everywhere people are talking about it. And no wonder it made me also to think about it and talk about it. And because I've been using this MCP testing for a couple of months, but I see it got picked up like anything and everybody started talking. So recently, last week, I want to start like, I written an article on that. So this is my article. I'm not going to talk about the article, what I have written, but you can go and check in my profile. But I written an article detail. I'm going to go on a high level that what I have decoded in this article. So this article is very high level, giving a basic idea of what's MCP and why it matters and what problem it is solving. So this is the factor of this article. But go and read when you get time. Very short article, 800 to 900 words, something like 2 to 3 minutes. You'll get an idea. But before that, I want to step back a little and to LLM, that where the journey started, because it's very important to understand where the journey started. Because if you go back to our earlier if I go back to the earlier discussions from session 1 or 2, we went into deep discussion on where the journey started. But here I'm going to touch like where the journey started and how it's connecting to the MCP. So it's like we had an LLM, like ChatGPT was the moment for everybody knows, and we used to do an input. We used to give an input to the LLM, which has a transformer model in the backend. Then we get an output. That's what actually it's all started with. Then what happened is everybody started exploring the LLM. We came up with a lot of ideas as a community, as an organization. So we started integrating tools. And before integrating tools, there was a couple of things like a RAG, where we grounded our information with LLM to understand the contest, and we retrieved the information. Then today, the RAG has been evolved and reasoning models came into the picture. Then we started doing a wrapper or a function calling that connects to the tools, data sources, and services. That that is where we are today. Okay, so that's where we are today. But what happens? This works fine. So far, I have worked in. I'm working on a production system. I'm working on a couple of POCs. So far, it works in a toy use cases. So far, it works really um, um, in a POC level or MVP level use cases when it comes to agentic, because the reasoning model comes into picture. Now we have a reasoning model, we have a frameworks like LangChain and all these things that connect back to the tools, and so it does an execution, it does the planning, and all these things comes as a combo. But there is a catch. The tools and data sources and all these things has its own API. I'll show you in a moment that how it looks, but I give you an idea that it has its own API. Every time you connect with the tool with an LLM or give a contest of the tool to an LLM, you have to write an API. Typically, from a developer term, it's called as like um, a glue code. You have to write a glue code. You connect to the tools and back to the LLM using a glue code. You write a glue code specific to that, or you have to handle the errors or authentication. These are the challenges which comes into like integrating tools with LLM. So this is where most of the industry folks are discussing. And at last November, what happened is Claude, who is one of the LLM provider, has launched this MCP. It's called Model Contest Protocol. So this is a unified way of connecting to LLM, the tools to LLM, and both vice versa. Like it's a two-way communication. So it really helped that to unifying the or standardizing the protocols, the API layers. So that is a difference. It important. Like it made a difference actually. So I want to have a check. I want to go to the actual model contest protocol link and want to explain that what's really it is. I don't want to voice over this, but if you read this, you understand clearly that it's a standardized protocol to provide the contest of tools to LLM. So think of like USB-C. That's the one. So that's where I written in my article and kept this picture. And there was a couple of other articles, very nice articles, connected about talked about this. But you think MCP as a unified protocol which helps you to standardize and simplify your API, multiple tools of API in one place, so that it made it like a boom to make people to talk about it, explore about it. And in an architecture point of view, it is a very simple. It's not a kind of physics innovation that came into the picture. It's a kind of unified protocol which combines, which standardize the way of communicating between LLM and to the tools, data sources, services, and all these things. It's a client server architecture, and where we have host and you have servers. Think of host as like your front end. It could be your IDE, or it could be your cloud desktop, or it could be your any low code tool or pro code what you're trying to do. Um, then it comes as a server layer where it has all the tools connected. Server is a middleware or a middleman who connects to the tools in the backend. So This is the flow actually. So it started with LLM, then we connected the tools with along with the reasoning models. When tools grow, we started seeing an issue of having a different set of API kind of HTTP requests, and all these things have to be written specific to the tool. Okay, so that made it more complicated. So that's where MCP came into picture, and MCP made it easier. So far, MCP is in a very early stage. I don't want to be too much optimistic, but I want to give a clarity that MCP is a very early stage. It could go really, really well if everybody started adopting and creating an MCP server by the product companies and tools companies. They create MCP servers. That is, I will show you in a moment. So it becomes like a standard for connecting your LLM and agents to any tools, internal or external, or any data sources in a very unified way. This is going to be a big game-changing approach. That is why everybody has started talking about it. So now you understand what is MCP and why people being very hype around it, why people have started talking about it. So give me a thumbs up if you understand so far. And if you have any questions, please drop that message in chat so I can help you with, and team is there to help you, and I can give you more information on that. So let me recall to this particular portal. So you have to keep this handy. It's super easy. There are other couple of portals, very interesting portals you can understand. So here, if you see, it's pre-built integration that LLM can plug in. So it's a plug and play act. And what happens now is you can't switch the tools. If you are switching the tools, you have to rewrite the API. And if you're switching the LLM, you have to make sure that LLM connects to that API and works in a way that the earlier LLM works. So these are the complications MCP is solving. So you understand the problem point of view, you understand why MCP, all these things are clear. Now I want to take a breath and switch to the actual how it actually works. So in earlier sessions, I've been using a pro code approach, doing a coding, but MCP itself, I don't want to complicate. So I brought in a low code tool. I'm not sure how many of you are aware of this tool. It's called NI10. It's an agentic workflow tool. It's a kind of AI workflow tool where they have kind of agents which you can visualize things and you can do it. It's super easy to learn. I shown this a couple of months back. One of the meetup. This is a great tool. It's a kind of think of like it's like a Zapier. If somebody knows what's Zapier, it's similar to that, but it's a kind of workflow tool. It's a low code, or you can take it as a no code. I would say it's a no code, where you can really do the stuff what you do with LangChain or what you do with other agentic frameworks. I use this for prototyping. Yes, David.
Yeah, just a question since you're mentioning LangChain. Stan's
Yeah.
asking, what's the difference between MCP and LangGraph? Maybe kind of disentangle that.
Oh, yeah. Interesting question. But MCP, again, it's a unified protocol. It's a framework, unified protocol created to make sure that you're standardizing the way of communication between LLM and the tools and the external data sources and services, whatever you want. LangGraph is a framework to create your agents. Okay, you have an LLM, then you have to set up a framework on top of it, wrapping on the LLM, and you have to create a agentic architecture so that you can plan and execute into actions as well. So LangGraph helps you that. LangGraph is a framework. MCP is a protocol. In short, it is that what it is. And there is a question like N8N versus Langflow. Nothing. Actually, two different tools doing the same thing. Langflow is more sophisticated, and it runs on the top of LangChain. Okay, it's a low code tool. N8N is a community developed tool. It's still a kind of free tool. You can use it in SaaS. There's a paid version also. I haven't used it, but I use a free version, installing on the local desktop on my Mac. So it's super easy to do some prototype. Or basically, I use this for explaining to non-technical users or some complex topics when it comes into technical way. I use this I don't want to complicate too many technical things. So what I do is I use this as a kickoff to keep things going. So that's the way. But it depends on your trade-off on your use case, what you want to use. I'm also using Langflow. I'm not sure it's active, but if it's active, I can show that. I'm using Langflow on the other side. Yeah. Yeah, Rohit. Rohit, you had a question. Okay. If no other question, then what is this tool called? N8N. So that's a tool. Okay. So uh, so far we have touched what is MCP, why everybody's talking about it, what problem it solves, and all these things are clear. Now, coming to this MCP, how it is actually set. So before getting into the actual setup, I want to show you that a couple of months back, I told you, right, I was giving a session about this tool, NI10, how to think about agentic workflow. So there is a difference between AI agents, agentic AI, and agentic workflows. Okay, this is NI10 is actually kind of AI workflow and agentic workflow. So you can think it in that way. You can think, you have to think differently. You should not think about tools. You have to understand what's the use case. Tools are super easy. We can adopt it and we can learn from it. But if we don't have a use case, tools will make it messy. So before getting into actual setup, I want to show that uh, 5 months or 6 months back in November, I made it like explaining this tool that how it operates. Okay. So there was a couple of this is not a workable prototype, but because it's been developed a couple of months back, I haven't tested it again. So what happens is I used a use case kind of travel agent. I used a use case kind of searching web, and after getting the information of weather, the location, and all these things, it will send an email to my Gmail of all the travel planning, or if I want to visit a location, what's the best time to visit kind of use case. Very simple. You can think of like a travel planning use case. If you see here, so to call each and every tool, I need to write a HTTP request, or this is a HTTP request, or I have to call an API, like I need to set up something like API keys and call it. And every time I have to enter a set of details of those APIs, to flow, everything. So this is what happened before MCP. So after MCP, this has been simplified. That's what I want to show you, that I want to bring this one. So after MCP, it became very short and simple. So if you see this diagram, uh, if you see this diagram, and if you get back to this, you can understand how the flow is became, right? So before getting into these details, you have to understand there is a community developed servers from this GitHub. I'll share you this in the slides. You have it. You can go and pick the servers what you want, and each servers has a combination of tools. For example, earlier what happened is for Gmail, I have connected each and every specific get email, send email, draft email, all these things. So this is a server. Within this Gmail MCP server, we have combination of multiple tools in it. So when we call this server, we can execute any tools. We don't want to map each and every tool. So one port, you call multiple tools in it, like delete email, modify email. You can do multiple things. So it's a call function. It's a function calling kind of. So you call this specific function, it will execute what we want to do it, what we have defined to do it. So coming back to this N8N. So here what I did is, sorry, give me a second. So here I made it like an AI agent, which has like an open AI model. So I have configured an open AI model with my API key and all these things over here. Then I added a little bit memory to make sure that if I have a repeated question, I'll take it from a memory, cache memory, so that it won't go back again and again using my tokens from my OpenAI. Then I have search web. So this is a model contest server I have embedded in here. So I have added this command. Means I'm using an NPX version execution one, not a Docker version. So then I used an argument, and where do you get these things? You might have a where do you get these things? So if you want to integrate any more MCP, first of all, you have to go here. You have to call this MCP server. And so I used Brave API here, Brave for search. Okay, Brave search, MCP. So I went here, I picked up this NPX version, and I added into my model contest protocol here. So N8N doesn't have a MCP node. So what the community has developed is they created an MCP node, kind of a template where you can use this template and adopt these MCP servers into it. You can append this MCP servers into it. You can configure this servers into it so that it has the connectivity to the servers, and behind that, it will connect to the tools. Okay. So similarly, web search, I used a Brave search MCP server. And for weather check, I use I'm sorry, weather check. I used like which one I used? I was trying to use uh, Google Weather Map, but I was just testing it. So coming back to this for Gmail, for send, get and send email, what I'm doing is I'm going to use this one like Gmail. Uh, Okay, so I'm going to take this one from here, and I will use any of the send or read emails, or this Docker version one, and this one over here. And I need to use the credentials of this. So it's a kind of, I'm not showing a demo here. I'm just trying to set up everything. It was working, but I'm trying to set up a new use case for the existing one what I was showing. But this is how you set up. So you come to N8N, you call MCP model contest protocol here, a client, which is actually community developed. If you add this one, okay, so you add here MCP, then what you do is you come over here. If you want to integrate, let's say Airbnb, let's do some testing. Okay, let's say we want to do Airbnb. So Airbnb. So I'll come to Airbnb. Then what I do is I'll get the NPX version of this text. So I will get this one, which is the arguments we need to add over here, so that it'll call that server. And the server has a combination of tools. I'll show you how it works. Then, then environment variable is not required. Let me see if I save this. Okay. Then I'll change this one to create one. Okay. Okay. Sorry. So I'll save this one, and I'll change the name here as BNB. Then, oh, sorry. Yeah. It's saved. BNB. Save it. Then come back. Airbnb list. So you have to always list, then you have to execute. There is an operation. So see, MCP is still evolving. So I am just sharing what I have explored and how it operates. How do you integrate this MCP into a simple use case? But still, it's an evolving framework. It's not having complete gesture of like a working prototype, like you can implement in a production. Still very early stage. But you have to understand that how it's super simple. Like list me, let me save this. Let me come to the chat. List me Airbnb tools. Let's see if it can list Airbnb tools. So it's using Airbnb. So this is a favorite part of it. It shows that what part it is executing, and it will show in a real time that what's happening in the backend. So it called the OpenAI model. Then it's trying to call an Airbnb server. Then it is trying to list what are the Airbnb tools available. So this is how the MCP is actually operates. But you have to always make sure you go back to this GitHub community repo and collect the servers which you need, and you can use that into your. Now I'm using N8N, but you can use Cloud Desktop and you can integrate that, and you can call that specific tools or specific server. It will call the specific tools underlying it. Then it will make your work super solid. For example, if I'm calling Airbnb now, then I'll ask that check the so it's done now. So it's super simple actually. So I haven't tried Airbnb. I'm trying on the live. So it's saying that it has a tools like Airbnb search. Then it has listing details. Okay. So what I do is let me test it. Find me 2 BHK room in London for this week. Something and check the web for better to validate the address. Okay, so I'm just giving this. Let's see if this works. It should call Airbnb, then it should come back to the search if it's configured right. So then it will work on the backend. So you can see this how it's operating in the backend. So that simple it is. I'm not. So what is the change here is what happens in the traditional method is I need to add this particular listing tool, which is actually get the information about specific Airbnb listing. Then I want to add this Airbnb search as a separate tool to call that tool to get this parameter. So now with one particular MCP protocol, I'm able to get all the details what I want. So here what is happening is we are listing actually we have listed, but we haven't set the execute. So it will not execute the our command. So we have to set an execute. So it's super simple. It is like MCP, or you can do like duplicate. I'll get into this one. So it's going, see, it use the MCP server for Airbnb, then it's coming to the web for the second query that validate its address. So it's going to validate the address. So now what I'm doing is, so two things you have to do. Always you have to list the tools. Then once you list the tools, you have to execute that. So I haven't set up the execute function call. So I don't think it will execute, but I'm going to set up the execute function call now. Let's see it. And I need to set up this. I need to say from use, please do tool name. Okay, I'll use tool name. Okay, okay. Let's use this empty and see that if it's able to pick it. It's not picking because I haven't done the execute point of view. I just set up a function call to list. So it will list, but it will not execute the actual function. It's because I need to set up the execute. So this is to give you an idea that how it works. But you hope you understand that what is actually MCP, how it simplifies the way we work in the legacy, and with MCP, how it's simplifying the calling function with different tools and different APIs. So I stop here and I make sure that I'm configuring that and wait for your questions to answer it. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, there are some questions in the chat, Subash. How does the AI agent know which MCP server to call based on input?
So N8N is quite intelligent, like in that, because it used the labeling, like the naming functions here, what you labeled in the specific functions, it'll try to pick up from that. And the flow is well integrated that it knows that which MCP servers, and you have defined it very clearly. Like here, I'm not able to open this one. Okay. So it has the naming like find two HK room means it knows that to pick the right servers for it. Okay. So N8N has an integration because that's why you are using the N8N client, the MCP client in N8N. So that MCP client knows that which one to call exactly to execute or list your request. Still, this MCP client is a community developed version. Okay. It's not the something N8N has by default. It's all in an exploration phase, testing phase. I'm just bringing this one to make you guys understand that how these things are evolving and people are using in the community. So I'm even testing that. Okay. So I'm not having the 100% results that MCP works, but it worked. It worked for search API. So let's say if I stop this, let's say if I stop this, how can I stop this? Okay. So, okay. So let it stop. So if I stop this and if I ask that, what are the top news for AI today? List me five. So it will not call the Airbnb. It will not send an Gmail, but it will do a search web option. So because that is configured, right? So let me see if that works. Any other show us another practical example if you have handy. So I'm just testing it. I'm just testing this one. I can do one quickly if you have time, but I'm not sure. You can do something like web scrapping. There is a web scrapping fire crawl. I was testing that in the parallel. So fire crawl, you can do a uh, fire crawl. So you can use this fire crawl and do a web scrapping. This is very simple use case. Uh, you can test it. So this one should work. Let's see if this works. So if you see here, okay. So if you see here, it worked. So it searched web and it did not use web this time. It used my simple memory, which I used as a earlier. I have used this query. So maybe taken it from my memory. So find AI agent topic, which is repeated in the internet. Let's see if it picks the, it's going to, okay, it's going to pick the search now. So earlier it did not pick the search. It picked the simple memory because I have already used that query earlier. So it taken from that memory. So now I have given a new query, new prompt. So it's trying to search the web. So this is how it operates. And N has this MCP client, which is tightly integrated. This MCP client is tightly integrated with this AI agent and knows that when to call which one. So this is happening in sequential order that or in a parallel based on your query. So it also pretty smart that it when you say search, it'll go and find this particular keyword. It is there. So when you say find the weather, it'll try to find out. But doesn't mean that if you don't set up this name, it will won't work. It work, but it works in quicker and faster way when you have a labels clean and neat in order. That's a model how it operates in N8N. So if you see here, so here are some recurring topics in AI agents. So it's able to search it. Okay. Is the LLM who decides which agent to call? Yes, LLM also decides, but it will pass to the model contest client, model contest protocol client accordingly. So yeah, which part handles the orchestration? This agent part. So us another practical. Okay, the agent. Okay, what else? Do we need to do any fine tuning of the instruction prompt or tool description with a few sample cases for the tool? I don't get that question, Bob. Can you re-articulate that? How does the AI agent know which MCP server to? Yeah, I answered that. So LLM does it, but the more of like you have a proper labeling, it's super workable. Because I tested yesterday with a different label, it was not picking up right. It when I say search and scrap web, it's not going to scrap because I didn't mention scrap over there in that MCP. So it keep on coming back to search web. So these are like prototype tools. Okay, these are not like production tools. So you can play around, get the concept, and you can see that how do you integrate with your existing system or with your new use case. That's the way you have to look at it. Don't take this for production. And MCP is still very early stage. I want to give this caveat very clearly. Our agentic hours is to explore what we are learning. We are bringing guest speakers, what they have explored to share and learn. That's the purpose. It's not that we bring in use case which is a workable model, because MCP itself is not a complete model yet. So, any other question? Few shots example for AI agent should be good. Yeah, few short, few shots should be good, or you can give a chain of thought prompting. It will also, because I used 4.0 Pro model here. So it should work in chain of thought because it is not a reasoning model. So, any other question, please raise your hands before I pass it to David. But this is what for today. I hope I given some clarity of what is MCP and how it operates. But this is very early stage, so you can keep an eye on it and keep moving. There are generic clients available that, yeah. Can you web search to MCP server? Can you plug in, say, Tavil web search to? So if you have a concern, always go to this GitHub repository. This is what the community has been developed. All the tools vendors who develop MCP servers, it's all hosted here. It's all in this GitHub. Okay, so you go and search and see that if this the web search what you have mentioned is there. Also, the generic clients available that can be modified to your use case, minimum UI done that can be talked to. So you can't modify the this is has been given as a community. So still you can take it and refine it as per your need, but you have to test it properly because these are all are just from the tools vendors who are trying to give you these MCT servers to you so that you can test it. Even Perplexity has this, and Stripe has this. So this is going to expand more. I foresee that there is going to be like app store coming in for MCP where you can call that app store the specific server. The specific server has all these tools underlying to it. So you call that server, you tell to that server, it will go back to the tools and trigger those tools. Kind of. This is the kind of architecture or the futuristic thing what could happen. Okay. Any other? Can you post a link? Yeah, I'll be providing this in the nuggets, so you can take that from there. MCP, good thing, bad name. Yeah, I'm not sure, but it is good thing or bad thing. We have to see how it evolves. I even written in my article. Agent may pick it up at some point, but all these things are to simplify the agents. I want to bring this thing. When everybody started developing agents, they had this bottleneck of having not having unique API instead of having separate APIs. Agent is super complicated. Agent is becoming super complicated. That's where this MCP is becoming a talk of the town. So I hope I clarified. Considering the time, I'll leave to David to take it forward. So I'll come back to the nuggets in a few minutes.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Subash. I think that's a really nice demo and like the Airbnb thrown in. My hope is that there'll be lots of MCPs coming out like libraries, and we just pick and choose. And I don't need to make my own tools for agents to call anymore. So I'm hoping that it takes off in a great way. Okay, so we're gonna jump on to the quick demo of Manus. I'm gonna share. So this is a fun part, and it's always great sharing other people's demos because it's not my stuff, and if it breaks, then I have someone to blame. No, just kidding. Now, if you haven't heard of Manus, this is a deep research kind of multi-system agent that's released by a company in China. And what Manus stands for is it means in Latin hand. So I think the idea is that you have a thought and then this thing goes and do it for you. So like a helping hand. So a big shout out to my buddy on LinkedIn, Marius Crewman, who kindly shared the invite code, which I will be sharing the experience with you guys today. But shout out to him if you're interested in like training your own LLMs. Like, please look him up because he's doing some really crazy, cool stuff with like parsing tokens into, models with hundreds of millions of parameters. Yeah, but this is Manus. I'm just gonna quickly share It's like really good for deep research. Here you have lots of examples which they will replay for you. And yeah, it says that it's apparently better than OpenAI's deep research. I will let you guys decide when we run it. But I don't really read too much into benchmarks. I think there's not a lot of caveats and small things on how you can measure a benchmark, which you need to look into. So just a very fun part for this session. Please write in the chat like your one question that you want Manus to run today, and I'm gonna pick my favorite question, and we can run it together. So I'll just give you a few seconds to come up with a question or something that you want Manus to do a deep search on. I'll jump onto the interface. So it kind of looks like this. This is a search that I've done before, and you have like on your left, this is the previous search and then the outputs here. We can run one now. I don't know, Subash, maybe give me your best shot.
Which one is this?
Okay,
One
I'll
sec,
just
yeah.
write one task here. So we can go with what
It's responding to the
what
questions.
is
Yeah.
your take on model context?
Okay, where is the S&P 500? I like that one.
That's a good one, yeah. So like,
Yeah.
and do you think this will take off? Oh, okay. So you can see it live and what it's doing. But while it's running, I'll just give you a kind of rundown on the technical implementation of how I understand it. So I think this is nice. It's one of the proper multi-agent systems that I've seen running in production. And here we only see kind of the main agent as I understand it, kind of the organizer agent that you see the outputs coming out from. But underneath, there's a whole host of like smaller agents that it's kind of organizing. And you can see that it has, say, like computer use. So it's going to open a browser on the side, which you can look what it's scrolling through. If you kind of zoom in here, you can actually see it's kind of scrolling down through web pages. It has agents which use the terminal as well. So it runs like bash commands, and a writing agent as well, which writes documents in Markdown. And then I believe there's like a traversal agent as well, where it's kind of formulating questions and kind of going through like a checklist of like, okay, how do I solve this issue? So kind of like using reasoning, but I think they have a specific agent for that. And then obviously, I'm pretty sure there's a evaluator agent like at the back. So kind of checking and doing the guardrails and stuff. But I guess on the space there is like Perplexity Deep Search, Gemini Deep Search, Operator. So kind of all released around the same time. I think Hugging Face has a open source version as well, which is pretty interesting. So I think we can kind of make a comparison like right at the end. But yeah. So it does take a while to kind of formulate. And I think the few things that I like here is like you do see this kind of browsing happening by the agent. So it's pretty nice, like that kind of transparency layer where it's like, okay, it's actually searching for stuff here. It's actually looking through like the text. And then if I can show the checklist approach, maybe in the other search. Here I can show you. It also has this kind of a checklist approach. So it formulates its own questions and then it goes through one by one. So at the start of the search, all this will be blanks. and then it will slowly check off the list one by one. So that's pretty nice. Um, I think when comparing to say something else like the Google Deep Search, this one gives a bit longer sort of a report, a bit more in depth. I think Google is really fast and really dependable. This is probably a bit deeper. Again, very, very subjective. And you have also this cool replay feature. I can find it. Um, Not this. But if you go onto the website here, say this one. So you can have a replay of what actually the agent does. So go through like at 10x speed and show you exactly all the steps that's gone through and all the links that's read up. So once the Manus completes the search, you can replay that and share it with your friends, which is a cool thing. But yeah, and I guess a quick like downsides on it is, to be honest, there's quite heavy rate limiting. So like for this, I can only do one deep search a day, and then it's gonna be blocked off. So I think that's quite resource intensive, and this probably like intentional on their design, which is understandable. And again, this is like a demo version, so I wouldn't fault too much for that. And also, there's another issue that I've run into when I've tried to push this bit further, is that I think there's an issue with context bloat. So at the end of the search, right, you can kind of continue interacting with the agent here and say, I want like deeper research. I want you to search up a particular area or add on to the report. And the main issue here is that it gives me an error where it says, oh, the report's already too long or the context too large, and then we can't proceed further. So I think there's some kind of bits where needs to be tweaked, and that's the main issue here. Is I think there are still bugs to um, kind of tweak out for the developers. Yeah, so it's still gonna run. I'm gonna leave it in the backdrop, but that's pretty much for Manus.AI. I don't know whether it's exciting or not. Hopefully, it gives a nice answer to MCP today. If not, we'll see by the end of this call. But yeah, so that's for me, and gonna have maybe 5 or so minutes for open mic, just for anyone to share what you're feeling around in the agent space or any questions.
You can be open and like you can share it. If you don't want to record this, we will stop. We'll cut this one, but uh, feel free to share it or ask question like what's happening, or you have any challenges with internally, we can share it, or other people can share from their experience. Take this as an opportunity.
I
Like,
watched the yeah,
go
I
ahead. Yeah.
watched the demo of Manus. It looks way faster on their videos but looking at this one, I feel that it actually run much slower than I thought.
Yeah, it takes a while. So like maybe even
Uh-huh.
10 minutes to kind of run. So what I usually do is you can close it and then come back to it. Compared to
Mm.
say Gemini Deep Search, it's way faster. I think if I can run this same search right now, it's probably complete a lot faster than this. But again, it is shorter. Like the report that comes out is shorter. So you see, you've got
How
like one
many
more
how
question.
many
Yeah,
how
sorry.
many agents are there behind it that you feel?
So counting the top of my head, main agent and then the computer vision or computer use agent, terminal use
Mhm.
agent, writing agent, traverser, and evaluator. So at least 6 is my field. Obviously, we don't get the uh, actual answer underneath, but there is this other report that I was looking at called Open Manners. So people are trying to
Mm.
replicate, and I find this quite interesting. So I think can kind of dive into the code and see like how kind of replicate this and break this down. I haven't actually tried this yet, but be cool to actually test it someday.
Yeah.
I have a question. May I ask?
Yeah, go ahead.
I've been wondering, how can we really benefit from these deep researches or deep searches that we have, for example, Manus or from Google or other OpenAI, because they are really limited and we cannot use them via API call, so we cannot develop a product using them. And even how many of them, how many searches I can do per day is really limited. So I don't know, should we just wait until it's more developed and become more available that we can use it in a more daily searches?
Yeah, I can take that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
I mean, for me, for my line of work, I do a lot of research and writing. So this saves a bit of time. But the main kind of caveat here is do fact check because it does get some stuff wrong, actually. To answer your question about API calls, so if you look up Gina AI, they have a deep search API that can call and also a deep research API that can call. So I think you can get like 100 a million free tokens, something just to test it out. So that's one of the few providers that do like these kind of APIs. I can share it in the link in the Discord later on. But yeah, happy to hear your thoughts as well, Subash. Or
yeah. So you have to see this in a very broader and long-term strategy, rather a short-term. So at this moment, in AI space, the best thing is to explore tools, get AI literacy, understand what are the tools and what actually these tools are doing, and imagine that what the use cases or problem it's solving. So if you get to know all these things, at some point, you can definitely use that in your business use case. So for your API thing, today or yesterday, OpenAI has launched their API for recent API launch has been done. You can go and check it. And Gemini also launched some API to their recent Gemini 2.0 models. So they are trying to come up with that. But it's all in testing. So it's good to know, but it takes time to get into the actual production. Yeah.
all right, yeah, I hope that helps, Bob. Just a quick thing that I remember from last session. So last session we covered a orchestration layer for agents and I think Ezo is here. So I know that he's launched a series of tutorials if you want to dive into that on like why orchestration layer is important. Not to put you on the spot here, but I can share that too. I think that's one of the things that I want to do want to test out after this.
So yeah, if no more questions, we can take the nuggets one. I'll share the nuggets. This time we have four. David, is it okay to say that one?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So I'm sharing the nuggets for this session. Every session, we have a kind of 3 to 4 nuggets. Nuggets means nothing. Actually, we will find out what are the best articles out there, what has been discussed so far in 1 month. We bring the best out of best so that you don't want to read 10, 15 articles and find that, okay, this is the best one. I have spent a lot of time on other thing, which is not required. So today is like the MCP repository, which I was sharing earlier. It is there in that. It will be shared in the Discord. Then, most importantly, if you want to get into a GenAI intensive course, Google has came up, usually do a Kaggle-based 5-day deep course on GenAI. I have attached the link here. You can see if you can register, if you have time, attend that, so you know the structured learning of that. And other stuff is like the OpenAI agents has been recently launched. This is a great video to spend some 25 minutes of time to understand that what does their launch mean, what actually their each and every specific products they have launched and services they have launched is going to do in better way. Like MCP was launched like that a couple of months back, but nobody was giving a shit on it, but slowly it got adopted. But people really understand in early phases that MCP is a bit of game changer. So uh, at this moment, I'm repeating, it's very important to get what's there out and get your AI literacy on tools. And when you get a real use case, you know which tool to pick, which for which use case, those are the trade-off, and which problem frameworks or things you can fit in. So this is a very important paper. I always bring in a paper every time. So I love reading the AI papers, which is getting launched like anything. People are writing great papers are written. So you can go and check. It's open. And this AI co-scientist is a multi-agent system. You should definitely read this paper, how a multi-agent system work, and they are creating a co-scientist which works along with the scientist to do their test cases and come up with a debate, evolve debate, and synthesize and come up with a hypothesis or whatever they want to do along with the scientists. So this is an interesting paper. You want to look at it. There are certain diagrams. You have to spend some time on it, how this architecture flow. This will give you a big picture that multi-agent system, how it operates. So this is a very important piece. Keep this handy for this month. It will take all over like 30 to 40 minutes, but you will get a series of information that will help you for the uh, next steps, what you're doing with your agentic space. And most importantly, take your mobile phones or screen, whatever screens you are there, take a feedback session. It takes only 2 minutes because every time we are trying to improve, we are trying to bring in guest speakers. Please comment that what you think, what kind of guest speakers you want, so we can bring in the right industry people. We bought an ESO last time, so we are still open to bring in great people for this conversation. So feel free to share your feedback over here. It will be really helpful for us to expand the session. And with that, I want to say thank you, and I leave it to David to take it forward. Yeah.
All right, superb. So we're just on the top of hour, and just a reminder again, recordings will be available on the AICamp YouTube channel, but we'll post it on the Discord as well. Lovely to have everyone all here, and we hope to run this every month. So I will see you all in the next one.
Yeah, there is one question. If you want to answer that one, I can answer.
Yeah.
Partha. LangGraph is used together with LangChain for developing it. LangGraph, nowadays, we don't want to use LangChain.